Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time again. You're watching another episode of Engine Room brought to you by TokenMetrics.com. Today is January 7th. It's a beautiful Friday. And in this episode, we're going to talk about GameStop. We're going to talk about two different approaches to the metaverse. Specifically, there's some Samsung news that we'll get into in just a minute. And then we're also going to talk about a lady named Michelle Berrard, who has now thrown her hat in with BlockbusterDAO. We're going to talk about why that's a big deal, particularly because of who her father is. For our regular audience, if you're wondering where Bill and Jacob are, Jacob's on vacation and Bill is busy. This market is crazy, man. So Bill's nose deep in charts today, and you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. So let's buckle in. Let's get through this news, and we'll see you all next week. I want to thank you for tuning in and really appreciate being able to speak to an audience the way that we do 3 days a week. By way of reminder, this podcast goes out on YouTube in video format, and we are also available everywhere your favorite audio podcasts are available. So if it's not enough to see me and hear me, you can also just hear me if you want. Let's get into it. GameStop. GameStop's been in the news because of their NFT marketplace that's launching. Now, they're in the news specifically today because the stock pumped like crazy overnight and came back down. So at the market close yesterday, GME was trading at 131. Then for some reason overnight, it soared to 159. And now as I speak to you in this moment, it's trading around 136. So there's a Wall Street Journal story that pegs this pump to news about the NFT marketplace that this company is building. GameStop has hired 20 people for this, and they have also pursued 2 different partnerships to bring this NFT marketplace to life. So GameStop, this darling property that seems to be changing the way, well, that has already changed the way a lot of people thought about finance in the early part of 2021, is once again, it's not going anywhere, guys. Pay attention to GameStop. But I'd be remiss to not talk about a certain conspiracy theory that seems to be brooding on Reddit. So there's a post by a user named Brett Magnetic who thinks there's something more going on. He doesn't think that this pump is related to the NFT news or the Wall Street Journal story. To quote this guy, to quote this internet anon, he says, the article feels like a way to curb whatever is really happening in the background and just saying the increase is because of the NFT marketplace. There was no official announcement about it from GameStop. Something else is happening. Margin calls, maybe, something else. Only time will tell, but it does seem highly credible that this NFT marketplace will actually launch and will actually be real. But it also, I can understand where this person is coming from. With no official announcement from the company and mostly just a little bit of hype writing, this pump and not a crash, but a return to the same level as trading yesterday, it does leave a few questions out there, doesn't it? Anyway, moving right along, we're going to talk about Samsung throwing its hat into the metaverse, and we're going to talk about why that might not be a good idea. If you are a regular listener or watcher of this podcast, then you know that we've talked about Walmart's metaverse video. There's a little bit to repeat here. So in 2017, as part of a tech demo for South by Southwest, a marketing company put out this video that simulated what it would be like to go shopping at Walmart in virtual reality. It's a 4-year-old video. That video had then really made the rounds again this past week because, metaverse topics are hot. And somebody found this and it's like, oh, this is an example of what it might actually look like if we did this. Long story short, the video took a lot of heat. People didn't really seem to like it. And here we are talking about a 4-year-old video as if it's news. It's an old video. It is a theoretical simulation of what it could look like to go shopping in the metaverse. But when we were talking about that video on an earlier episode of this podcast, our own Bill Noble raised the issue that, yeah, companies are going to have to probably start buying land in the metaverse if they want this exposure, if they want to, future-proof themselves. If and when this becomes normal, the company that's going to win is the company that already has a footprint in not just one, not just 2, but maybe even 3 or 4 different metaverses until we see one metaverse that quote unquote wins. So the news today is that Samsung seems to be the first major business entering the metaverse. They are going to open a store in Decentraland. This is store number 837. And, they're doing this by way of collaboration with Decentraland. Samsung doesn't have some metaverse expert. They're having help. But this is up and running right now. Flagship store 837 is a physical store in Decentraland. Well, physical store in Decentraland. That doesn't make sense, does it? The Metaverse store is a response to the physical store located at 837 Washington Street in New York City. So the virtual store, which is being called Samsung 837X, will be open in Decentraland for a limited time. It seems like Samsung just wants to kick the tires on this idea and see if they can actually see the bottom line move on this at all. Pioneers leave with arrows in their backs. So if this goes well, maybe they'll stick around. But if it's just a publicity hype thing, then they'll shut it down and they won't be back after that. So there you have it. Samsung seems to be the first major retail business to actually have a footprint in the metaverse, although it will be for some limited time, it seems. Now, let's talk about an op-ed on CoinDesk by David Morris that basically says it's a bad idea for retail to get into metaverse. It seems that he's specifically talking about getting into Facebook's metaverse. So by way of reminder here, metaverse is an old idea. It's been around for 25, 30 years at least. But Facebook, now rebranded to Meta, seems to be putting this idea back on the map as if it's something brand new, and they want to be the ones to build this new virtual reality that we're going to theoretically be living, working, doing business in the future. So David's op-ed says that it's bad for retail businesses to have any kind of metaverse play, and he draws an analogy to 2016 when Facebook started going heavy on video. So if a retail business had a well-trafficked Facebook page, then suddenly they were tasked with having to put out videos in order to stay relevant and in order to stay competitive. David's drawing a line here that says now they're going to have to do a metaverse thing. Well, that's completely new, by which I mean businesses aren't in the habit of making virtual spaces, at least not yet. By now, relevant businesses are certainly in the habit of making videos. But the CoinDesk op-ed reminds us that in 2016, so many companies stumbled and tripped over themselves as they hurried to try to be relevant by way of video on Facebook. Now the argument here is if you hurry into the metaverse, you're going to look silly. Just good food for thought. I don't think anybody's particularly right or wrong here. I want to hold up David as being a brave guy to put forward a kind of a controversial idea. We also want to celebrate Samsung for being eager to be first adopters here in this metaverse thing. It's not new, but what is new is that more and more people are talking about it than ever before. Moving right along, we're going to talk about Michelle Berrard and BlockbusterDAO. Who is Michelle Berrard? Well, this woman is the daughter of a former CEO of Blockbuster who's now deceased. But the news here is that it's so cool. This is a nostalgic thing because I remember going to Blockbuster as a young kid, getting VHS tapes and later DVDs. But the former CEO of Blockbuster's daughter is now involved in BlockbusterDAO. If you're not familiar with BlockbusterDAO, this is probably the second major DAO to enter the public eye, really the crypto public eye, after Constitution DAO. We all remember this failed attempt by Constitution DAO to buy a historical copy of the Constitution for $47 million. They were unfortunately outbid. BlockbusterDAO seems to be building on that momentum and that attention, really, to do nothing less than buy the rights to the Blockbuster intellectual property, the name, the business, everything, and to reinvent it, redesign it as something that's basically going to compete with Netflix in a decentralized fashion. They're trying to coin the term DeFilm, of course, after DeFi, decentralized finance. Well, BlockbusterDAO endeavors to be something that decentralizes the film business. They have some pretty serious goals here. They want to win awards. They want to produce original content a la Netflix. And by and large, it just kind of is a heartwarming thing to see something that so many people have so close to their hearts from the 90s to see that emerge on the map and be relevant in 2022. So let's get back to Michelle Berrard. She is active in the Blockbuster DAO Discord. She wrote a message there saying the Blockbuster DAO project is so exciting because movies, independent films, and Blockbuster live in the hearts of everyone. It's personal, heartfelt, nostalgic, and a legacy for me. So this is a huge momentum boost as far as I can tell for this project. The company, not the company, the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, seeks to raise $5 million by selling NFTs and using that money to buy Blockbuster, then turning it into the streaming service that we previously described. It's going to be very exciting to see this happen. I think the goals behind the Constitution DAO were a little haughty, a little high and mighty. I would even go so far as to say it's kind of self-important, trying to draw such a clear defining line between crypto and politics by buying the Constitution in a decentralized fashion. That could probably be a turnoff for a lot of people. I can imagine a lot of people who are into crypto be like, why are we talking about the Constitution? Let's talk about business and making money. Well, that certainly is what Blockbuster DAO endeavors to do. They want to literally turn this failed, defunct business. It's not exactly failed. There's still one physical Blockbuster store in operation in Bend, Oregon, but they want to revitalize this thing that so many people remember so fondly and literally compete with Netflix on this. It could be interesting to see this set a tone. If a decentralized Netflix can actually compete with Netflix, it really makes me wonder what a decentralized metaverse will do by way of competing with any metaverse that Facebook is responsible for. Facebook as a large centralized entity, there are a number of criticisms that we can throw out there. We've seen how they handle social media. Do we really want to trust them with Metaverse? Personally speaking, I'm not thrilled about the idea. Facebook's role in all this seems to be legitimizing the idea of spending time in the Metaverse. Maybe Blockbuster DAO can be the thing that legitimizes DAOs. After Constitution DAO unfortunately failed to buy the Constitution. Anyway, my name is Dylan Love. I want to thank you for watching this podcast. Single-handing it today, so appreciate you bearing with me. We'll be back next week, and I want to thank you for watching Engine Room, and I want to thank you for paying attention to Token Metrics. You can be sure to check out tokenmetrics.com for all the help you need making money in the cryptocurrency industry. We are here to help you sort signal from noise in this crazy, crazy market, and we're grateful for your attention. Thanks, everybody.